What if I told you there's places in the world that are scientifically happier? Not just for a moment, but literally for these people's entire lives. In this book, Blue Zones of Happiness, Dan Buettner, he's cracked the code on what it takes to live a happier, less stressful, more fulfilling life. And the best part of all of this is that you don't have to live in these blue zones to reap those same benefits. In this video, I'm breaking down exactly what the blue zones of happiness in the world do differently and how you can apply that to your own life. I'm Dr. Mani J. I'm a dermatologist and skin cancer surgeon in Southern California, and I love efficiency, productivity, and work-life balance. And on my channel, we talk about simple, realistic ways that we can make our lives easier and happier. So the three main blue zones of happiness that Dan Buettner talks about are Denmark, because it's consistently rated one of the happiest countries in the world, Costa Rica, because it's got really great community and nature, and then the third is Singapore, because they've got really great structure and really great purpose. And so I'm going to talk about what we can take from these different countries and how we can apply them to our day-to-day. So let's get into it. Number one that all the blue zones have in common is that they prioritize purpose. Another word for purpose in Japanese is called ikigai, and it's basically the reason that we wake up in the morning. It's the thing that we enjoy doing, the thing that brings us value and brings other people value, and it's the thing that we feel fulfilled with when doing. Research shows that if you have a sense of purpose in life, it can actually increase your longevity by up to 7 years. I'm all about actionable tips and how you can apply this to yourself. So if you're not sure what your life purpose is or what you feel fulfilled doing, I would recommend journaling what makes you happy, what you're good at, and what can bring in money. Use those three components and try to kind of find something that fulfills all of those in order to foster and cultivate a sense of purpose. So there's a lot of kind of soul searching that goes into this, but that's a good starting point. If you're unsure of your sense of purpose, here's a really great exercise that you can do. I would get out your journal, get out a pencil, and brainstorm and think about these three things. The first thing is, what do I enjoy doing? What do I love? The second thing is, what am I good at? The third thing is, what does the world need? Do some soul searching, do some brainstorming, and journal about these three things, and hopefully you can find something that fulfills all three of those categories. And that's really like the ideal of what you want to do that'll give yourself purpose, that'll make yourself enough money to live, also be something that you love. Because if it's something that you love and it's something that you're good at and it's something that the world needs, and then naturally you should be able to make money from that. The second thing that the people in the blue zones do is that they invest in social connections. This is hugely important because there's a great big body of evidence in the scientific research that shows that social connections and social relationships are really what make us happy and what bring us longevity in life. In places like Denmark, that consistently ranks one of the happiest countries in the world, they prioritize social connections and community. They have a concept of something called hygge, which I'm probably not pronouncing right, but it's this sense of coziness and this sense of like when you're in the winter time and you have candles lit, there's all this really nice warm light, there's a lot of like cozy different elements, you have your friends over, you like bake cookies, you like bake bread, just that sense of like togetherness and coziness, and they really value that in their community and society. And that's a lesson that we can all take back, is to really foster that sense of hygge in our lives. In Costa Rica also, they have a similar type of value that they place on social connections. In Costa Rica, people are also very tight-knit. They often don't lock their doors are open, people spontaneously stop by to say hi, and it creates these kind of micro connections throughout their day-to-day that increases their overall happiness. In America, I don't have to tell you, but we don't do that. We have our doors locked, you have to call, you have to give way advance notice before you come over to somebody's house. So it's really the antithesis of what that is, and it in turn makes us more isolated and makes us feel more lonely. So we've really got to make an active effort in making social connections in our lives. In fact, I know when you're an adult, it's hard to make friends. And I actually made a video that I'll link here about how to make friends when you're an adult, because I know that's something that's really hard. It's pretty easy when you're in college, when you're in school, but whenever you're outside of that in your day-to-day life as an adult, it's really hard to foster really deep social connections and make really meaningful friendships. So that video hopefully will help. So the actionable tip with this point is to make social meetings with your friends non-negotiable. Treat them like they are work appointments and make sure that you prioritize them. So a good goal is to try to have like one friend get together per month, or if you really want to up it, try to do it once a week. And I guarantee you, if you consistently do that, your life will get richer, it'll get happier. I saw that happen to myself in 2023. I pretty much had no friends that lived in the same city as me, maybe one friend who was a little bit busy that I wasn't really able to see that much. But I had one friend in 2023, and then in 2024 I made it an active goal to make more friends, to make at least 3 really close deep friends. Because of what I used in that video, I was able to make actually 6 really good friends that have changed my life, and this has brought me a ton of happiness, I can't even tell you. So make sure you prioritize those social connections and social relationships. The third tip I learned from the Blue Zones of Happiness is that they design their environment for happiness. So the 2 ways that you can do this is basically by making your home environment comfortable, relaxing, and geared towards that. And then the second thing is to make movement easier, because movement is easier when your environment promotes that. The first thing is to make your home comfortable and relaxing. So what that means for me, and what you can take away from this too, is if you're someone that does some work from home or all work from home, make sure you have a dedicated space in your house that's just for that you don't do anything else in that space for. So it doesn't have to be a whole room. Let's say you have an apartment or something like that and you're tight on space. It doesn't have to be a whole dedicated room, but it could be a corner of that room where you have your desk, and when you sit in that chair, that's all you do is do work, and all the rest of that room and all the rest of your living room and dining room or whatever is all meant for relaxation. So I've tried to do this where this that you see here is my studio, and when I sit here, this is all I do is I do YouTube videos, do Instagram reels, I do YouTube shorts, I do all of those things just in this space, and this is kind of my content creation space, and I have that separated from my relaxing space. So I have a living room elsewhere, I have my bedroom, and those things are literally just for relaxation. And there's something that's so important about your brain when it goes into a different kind of environment that is a work environment, and then your brain gets attuned to okay, in this area this is the kind of work that I do, and then in that other area I relax and I'm allowed to take it easy and kind of be in a more less stressful, less kind of on state. So creating and curating your environments to be relaxing, especially in your living room and your bedroom, are really important. A big thing for me is lighting. I use a lot of soft white or yellow light because that's more relaxing and it's less kind of work oriented, whereas in my working spaces I have a little bit more of a bluer light, so a little bit more of a white light that promotes more of a alertness and more of a working kind of mode. So that's one way that you can really curate your environment to create more happiness. The second thing is when it comes to movement. So when it comes to movement, you want to try to make there be the least amount of friction as possible. So I know we're talking about the Blue Zones of Happiness, but this is something that also is talked about in Atomic Habits by James Clear, but he talks about removing the friction for movement. So if that means every day, let's say your goal is you want to go on a walk in the morning, then you put your clothes that you're going to wear for that walk, you lay that out the night before. Let's say you're going to take your dog on a walk that same time, you put your dog's leash next to your clothes, so that way when you wake up in the morning, it's super easy to just throw on those clothes, grab your dog's leash, and head out the door. Make these things as easy and as simple as possible. I have this rule for myself that I've made, which is don't think think, just do. That is really helpful in the morning for me because I'm not really that much of a morning person, and it's easy for me to kind of like stay in bed, like let's say on a Saturday morning, and like be on my phone or like read or do something that isn't going to like get me up and out and doing things. And so if I think to myself, like, don't think, just do, then I don't overthink these things like, okay, what should I do next? I just like do it. And that's how you develop these habits, and that's how you develop routines that make movement easy and then part of your day-to-day where you don't have to actively think about it. The fourth point is to prioritize experiences over things. So I am a huge proponent of this. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I harp on this a lot, and I try to live my life like this on a very regular basis. I really don't prioritize things. I try to follow a capsule wardrobe when it comes to my clothes. I will buy good quality items and spend a little bit more to buy good quality, but I really don't like to buy a lot of things and have my closet really cluttered. Instead, what I like to do is use that money for experiences, and I would make a running list of the different experiences that you want to have, like different ideas that come to you. So for example, like if there's a band that you really like that you know is going to be coming to concert like 6 months from now in your town, you put that down on your list. You put other things down for experiences, like let's say you want to have like a picnic in the summertime with your friends at the botanical garden, or you want to try out a pottery class, or you want to go on a hot air balloon ride, or something like that. Just make a list of these experiences and prioritize those over buying things. So next time you want to buy something, instead of making an impulse purchase, my rule that I use is, okay, wait at least 24 hours. Really, I try to wait a week, but I usually put something in my cart, wait at least 24 to 48 hours. If I look at my Amazon cart and let's say I still want it after 2 days, then I can get it. But I really try to minimize those impulsive buys, because in this day and age, we are literally bombarded with so many things to buy that it's really easy to impulse buy stuff. So instead, just make a conscious effort and just say, no, I'm not going to buy those things. I want to spend that money instead on actual experiences, because research actually does show that when we spend our money on experiences, it makes us happier. So this is a huge one, and I definitely want you to prioritize that, because once I started doing that, it's really changed the way that I feel about my happiness level in my day-to-day life. The fifth takeaway that I have from this book is to practice gratitude and a positive mindset. In Mexico, they have a concept called simpatico, which is to keep kind of a kind and optimistic mindset even through tough times. We all know that gratitude and a positive mindset can make us more happy, but it's harder to do in day-to-day practice. So having a gratitude journal, I have feelings about it, because I've tried to do it and it hasn't always worked, or I haven't really been able to be consistent. You know, they say like at the end of the day, think of like 3 things that you're grateful for. Well, it ended up that I kept on saying kind of the same things over and over again. Even though they're true, it just was kind of repetitive. So I've kind of changed this, and I put a journal by my bedside table, and before I go to sleep, I write down like 2 things that went well that day. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like 2 things that I'm like grateful for, but it's just 2 good things that happened that day, or 2 good things that went well, or it could be 2 things that I'm grateful for, and kind of like paring it down to even like 1 or 2 things and having like a slightly different tweak to it has definitely helped in maintaining and kind of having that gratitude journal. And then also it's really fun to look back and see what those like kind of good things are that happened, or what I was proud of for myself for doing, because some of those things are not just things that are there that I'm grateful for, but things that I actually did myself that I'm grateful for. And it kind of helped create and cultivate this like self-love too, and make me kind of proud of myself and feel like I'm capable. So all of those things really contribute. And so I would encourage you to have that different type of gratitude journal where it's just like a good things journal. So it's like 2 things that went well, that you did well, that you're happy about. Those are all the small but powerful habits that these blue zones around the world do that we can take and make actionable in our own lives. Hopefully you found that helpful. If you want to know how to make friends as an adult with that video that I was alluding to earlier, make sure that you click on this link here, and I'll see you in the next one.